name is Jeff. This is 2A Self-Defense Law. What we do is we help people understand the law of self-defense in the simplest terms possible. We take the fear out of getting it wrong. One of the people that I like to watch is Audit the Audit. And he does a very good job in discussing what the law is. The premise of the videos is kind of flawed, where people go out and basically poke the bear and to see if the police actually know what they're doing. And then they get to cherry pick who are the idiots and who are the good officers. And obviously, the idiots are the ones who show up. And again, a lot of police officers, they don't know specifically what the law is in a lot of different areas. I mean, books and books and reams of laws and statutes and court decisions are out there. They don't know everything. So they will trample upon your laws, and it's up to you to know what the laws are. So what has happened is this guy right here, he is one of those auditors where he tries to poke the bear and goes around a DUI checkpoint. And I'm not going to get into the DUI checkpoint part of it because that's really outside my purview and what I want to do in this on this channel. But he also has carrying a firearm. All right. Now, Audit the Audit has his opinions about the firearms, and he made some factual errors also. I just want to remind people that this video was actually shot in 2014. I'm not going to go back 7-8 years and try to find out what the laws were at that time. So what we're going to actually do is use 2021 laws, court decisions, etc., and we will go from there. All right. Yeah, let's just start the video.
It is difficult to see, but Mr. Wolin has a firearm in the holster on his hip that he does not inform the officers of at any point during the interaction. While it is a common misconception that citizens are required to disclose their possession of a firearm, it is never a good idea to conceal a firearm from a police officer.
Now, let's go over that. I understand the sentiment behind it. We're going to be discussing a little bit of what you tell an officer and what you don't tell an officer. The fact of the matter is that he is factually incorrect when he says that people are assuming that you must inform a police officer if you have a firearm, and he says that you don't. Well, the fact is that you do. There are 11 states that require you to, when you do have an encounter. Some states it's a vehicle encounter, and some states it's just a general encounter. That if you have some kind of a meeting with a police officer, you must inform that you are carrying a firearm. And then there are 15 states that are quasi-duty to inform. What that means is if they ask you that, and you do have one, that you must answer into the affirmative. Okay. Now, I'll just go real quickly on the states that require you to inform a police officer. Alaska. Now, California is a little different. California and Orange County, there's only one county that I'm aware of that require you to inform the officer if you have a firearm. That's ridiculous. One county out of how many? I'm not sure. Delaware requires it. Louisiana, Maine, Michigan, Nebraska, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina require it. Now, the states that have a quasi-duty to inform: Arizona, Arkansas, Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Iowa, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nebraska, Nevada, Texas, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin. So if you are driving through one of those states, you need to know about if you have a duty to inform or if you have a quasi-duty to inform. Now, what I'll say again here is going to be a personal decision. If you are one of the states that I have not said, you have two options. You can be forthcoming and say that you do have one, or you don't have one. There are plenty of lawyers out there like Dale Carson who says that don't inform them because you're opening up a can of worms if you do. And then you have other lawyers and trainers saying, well, you want to be upfront with the police officer as possible. You want to make him or her feel comfortable. So then you just tell them. I'm in both camps. You know, if you have an officer that is less than 5 years into it, I'm not sure if you want to say anything. More experienced officer who has more knowledge under their belt, they may feel more comfortable with the situation. So it's going to be a personal decision on you. Now, Audit the Audit is going to get in the Philandro Castile shooting, and we will discuss it after the flaws, what he said about that case.
Especially during a traffic stop where you may be reaching into your center console or glove box to retrieve documentation. If at any point an officer perceives a potential threat, regardless of the true intentions of the suspect, it will only escalate the encounter and could result in the use of deadly force. Considering the skewed nature of the justice system, the use of deadly force may be ultimately considered justified. The case of Philando Castile, who was killed by an officer after peacefully disclosing the fact that he had a legal firearm, is a prime example of the grimmest of outcomes regarding firearms and traffic stops. The officer who shot Mr. Castile was arrested, but eventually acquitted of all charges. No exercise of rights is worth risking your life for, and Mr. Wollen's decision to open carry a firearm into a roadblock was reckless and foolish.
Well, I'm going to back up a little bit. I think anybody who goes through a DUI checkpoint is foolish and reckless. Just because that you have a handgun on the side, which you are in 2021 terms in the state of Georgia, you are allowed under Georgia statute 16-11-126. Any person who is not prohibited by law by possessing a handgun or long gun may have or carry on his or her person a weapon or long gun on his or her property or inside his or her home motor vehicle. He was specifically doing what is legal. And my position is, if you are going to be auditing the auditor, doing legal stuff, no matter how foolish, taking pictures of dams, taking pictures of old folks' homes, if you are in a legal position to take pictures, there is no moral difference between having a open carried firearm, which you are legally allowed to do in the state of Georgia. There is no difference between the two. Okay? Now let's also go a little bit about Philando Castile. Philando Castile, now we also have to remember that the police officer was actually responding to an armed robbery. That armed robbery goes into the reasonable person standard of an officer who has stopped somebody whom he may be already on a little bit of a higher alert because of the armed robbery that just occurred. Okay. The second thing I want to deal with is that Philando Castile had marijuana in his bloodstream. All right. The officer in St. Paul, Minneapolis, I forget which one. It's a kind of a subsection in between there. Smelled the marijuana emanating from the vehicle with a child in the back seat. Okay. So, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the effects of marijuana on an adult includes altered senses, changes in mood, impaired body movement, difficulty in thinking and problem solving, temporary hallucinations, and temporary paranoia. Philando Castile wasn't operating like this guy was, this young kid with the firearm in Georgia. To correlate the two is, on my end, dishonest and misleading. If You bring a firearm into the situation and you're an audit. Well, you're auditing everything. You are auditing if the police officers know about Terry laws, stop laws, DUI laws. In this case, car inspection laws. They are doing everything. All right. Again, go to Audit the Audit. It's a very good channel for you to learn a lot on what he puts on there. But bear in mind that people can make errors. I can make errors. And his outlook of what firearms are seem to come from a biased point of view, and that's my opinion. I don't know the guy. I've never spoken with the guy. It's my personal opinion that he doesn't look high on firearms. Okay? Second Amendment is there. We need to audit the auditors that are auditing the Second Amendment also. My name is Jeff. I hope this helped.